Hey traders, welcome to Charts and Coffee. Great to see everyone. I was going to try the webcam in the room. Let's see if we can get this thing to work. Just curious. All right, let's see. Allow. Oh, there we are. Okay. Not that you need to see my mug, but now you got the view like we do here at the YouTube and Twitter. So welcome, gang, to Charts and Coffee. Welcome to the office. And let's get to work. We have a fairly, all right, let's see here. We have a fairly busy week in terms of economic data. So let's start off there. As you'll notice, we've got later on this week, we've got the University of Michigan inflation expectation. Tomorrow, we've got the PPI, which is only slightly less important than the Federal Reserve's favorite, their pet inflation metric, which is the PCE. So today, pretty quiet, except for we have this tentative scheduled, whatever it's going to be from Lagarde. Anytime we have a major central bank chair head speaking, it's going to be a market mover. We have Waller, Kashkari today. And so let's jump into the charts as we're getting ready for the day. There we go. All right, what kind of mood is the S&P in as we're preparing for the morning? If you've checked out the last two free videos that I've done over at the Simpler Trading YouTube channel, as well as my YouTube channel at Raghee Horner, you know that we've been talking a lot about getting an early sentiment read. Now, what does that mean? A sentiment read is going to help us with directional bias. What does that mean? Which direction should we take the trade? A lot of traders ask me, Rog, is it an indicator I'm lacking? Is it the wrong strategy? What is it that's sort of where the wheels come off the wagon in trading? And I will tell you, time and time again, over 30 years and thousands of traders that I've sat with, taught, etc., it's usually direction. Because let's face it, if you're a momentum trader, getting the direction right, it's going to serve you. If you're an exhaustion trader like myself, retracements, reversions, again, direction is everything. So when direction is easy, then everything else falls into place. So if you take a look at the S&P right now, there's a few things that I'll do to get an early advantage on direction. First of all, where are we in relation to the previous session close? This is just a line that I will draw manually. Gang, as much as I love to automate things, and that's kind of my thing, right? Let's automate as much as we can to increase accuracy, to increase speed, and frankly, to decrease the learning curve, right? All that's great, but there's certain things that take just moments that give me a little bit more of a nice kinesthetic feel for what's happening on the chart. It forces me to actually look at something, draw a line, and make an assessment. Something as simple as drawing in the previous session close is a really great way to make yourself focus on that daily, if even only for a few moments, and then get a feel for, okay, are we above or below that level? That's the first sentiment read. The second sentiment read is, what is the structure on the 5-minute? Because that's the time frame that I'm going to use for my day trading, right? Which has definitely been what's kept the pipeline full easily for the last 3 months. But I don't count July. I mean, that was a really easy month to trade. The thing went straight up. But let's talk about choppy August, choppy September, and again, choppy October. The day trading continues to work. What does day trading mean? It simply means that I'm going to be flat by the end of the day. That's it. That's it. Whatever strategy, indicator, asset class we choose to use during that trading session, today's Tuesday, as long as I'm flat by the end of the day, it is a day trade. Day trade actually describes the exit plan, which is time-based. Get out by the end of the day. All right, so I know right now I'm going to inherit a neutral 5-minute chart. So you might say, Rog, that doesn't help me a lot. What so far do you know about the 5-minute? Not much in terms of directional bias, but that daily previous session close right, is a very good sentiment level to understand, hey, we're above the previous session close. There's a certain amount of bullishness there, right? Okay. By 9:35, if you watch the last two videos that I've talked about what to do on Monday, we cut that last Friday. And then I think I cut another one the Friday before where we kind of workshopped, hey, Rog, what are 2 or 3 things you can do to get an edge early in the morning? And one of them is wait 5 minutes, right? We're not horses, right? As soon as they open the gates, we're not running. This is not Olympic sprint. We are not Usain Bolt, although he is so cool. We are not that, right? We're not looking to sprint as soon as the markets open. Wait 5 minutes. Give yourself 5 minutes. So now you know the previous session closed. Now you've got a read on the 5-minute structure by way of the 2 colors at the bottom of my chart. We call that the multi-trend and the multi-momo. And then the high-low of the first 5 minutes from 9:30 to 9:35, cut that range in half, right? If you heard me talk about the Pingala, yes, Pingala is my way. I think a lot of people call it Fibonacci. Fibonacci was based in many ways on a lot of the work that was done by a mathematician and a poet. Talk about left brain, right brain, right? A mathematician and a poet named Pingala, right? So people go, what is Pingala, Raghee? It's a person. And they are largely credited for using zero, and a lot of the rhythms of that Sanskrit poetry went with what we now know as a Fibonacci ratio, Pingala. All right. Plus, it sounds cool, Pingala. All right, so that's what we're going to wait for. We're going to wait for that Pingala from the first 5 minutes. That'll give us a beautiful zone. All right, so those are 3 things you can do this morning in about 22 minutes to give you an edge, on the morning. What kind of edge? Well, gang, transparency is not about, hey, I took this trade, right? Transparency is what was my trigger before the trade, right? And then transparency is what? How did I do last month? All my day trades. How did I do last month? We've been doing that, I think, the last 4 months. I've done 3 different trades viz breakdowns on the good, the bad, the ugly. Luckily, it's been mostly good. I'm sure I'll have a difficult month coming up. But every week we do a recap in the mastery. Again, the good, the bad, the ugly. No well-chosen examples here. So if you want to see what I did last month, if you want to see what I've done last week, check out countdowntrader.com. All right? Because to me, a lot of folks ask me, Rog, what's sort of happening right now and how are you responding to that? And that's where those recaps are really helpful. So I recapped the last month so you can see how I did in September. By the way, not as well as I did in August, which surprises me. We did about 94% in August, and we did, I think I did close to 89 or 90% in September. So I actually didn't, in terms of a sum of dollars, right? I didn't do as well. And by the way, again, who cares about percentages? You're not going to hear me talk about percentage gains. Who cares? How many dollars, how many points, and then scale that out, right? So if you want to check that out, countdowntrader.com. So that's how I'm going to treat the morning. That's what's been giving me a great edge. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in. Let me make sure I got these questions front and center. I do. All right. So by the way, I'm using the new room software in the Essentials room and it looks pretty darn good. All right. Great to see everyone. So first question here from our YouTube. All right. Good morning. Asks Lieber. What would I say about a put on Verizon? All right. So let's go take a look at VZ. Shorting the rip on the 1 hour. I love the daily time frame downtrend. What the 1 hour chart of Verizon is doing, Lieber, is it's overbought. It's below the 200. That's bearish. So those white dots cutting across my center chart there, that's bearish. It's below the equator. I like that a lot. And then the downtrend on the daily is beautiful. So I don't need any kind of stochastics in a trending market. And be careful using oscillators. Remember, this is oscillating back and forth, back and forth. Trends are the opposite of oscillating. Yes? So don't use oscillators in trending markets. The 1 hour is sideways with a bearish bias. The daily is in a straight up downtrend. Mean reversions, retracements, a gap close would be phenomenal. I do like the short. Now, 2 weeks from earnings is going to be interesting. I'm glad you mentioned that, Lieber. 2 weeks from earnings cuts down my window. If you want to know how I trade earnings, again, countdowntrader.com, I've got something called a 642 earnings window. How do I look at earnings? What's the priority? And what are the hazards? I'm a long call, long put trader. I buy options, period. No spreads, no acrobatics, no Cirque du Soleil type option strategies. I'm sure they're fine for some folks. I'm a simple carbohydrate. I keep things really straightforward in terms of what's not going to foul us up with pattern day trading and what's going to keep us from over leveraging. I like long calls, long puts. You might say, well, Rog, why not? Hey, I've run that whole gamut over 30 some years of, I kept hearing the same thing a lot of you all probably heard. You can't just buy calls. You can't just buy puts. I hear that a lot. I don't know. I think we defy gravity in the mastery every single month. It's just categorically wrong to say that someone just can't buy calls and buy puts. And that's something that I've done for many, many, many years. And that's what I tell most traders to do, because if you can't make money learning how to buy a call, buy a put, what makes anyone think that adding 9 legs to an option strategy is somehow going to mystically make that strategy work? Everything is about timing and cost and risk. I mean, that's trading. You can't extract that out, right? Fancy options, acrobatics are not going to outdo poor timing, over leveraging, and a lack of risk control. Yes? I think everyone knows that, so, oh yeah, Rog, that makes sense. So long call, long put. Yeah, long put looks great there, Libra. I would wait for that reversion. I think that the 1 hour, as you mentioned, overbought, stochastic signal. Just wait for that setup, whether it's a minor high, whether it's a Darvis breakdown, whatever you're looking for, wait for that trigger. All right, Tech Trader Joe says, if multi-trend is neutral and price is above the previous session close and a Darvis minor low is confirmed, is it a proper... Price is neutral. Oh, is it a confirm to enter? No. Tech Trader Joe, I'm still going to wait the first 5 minutes. I will seldom enter on a minor low, which is a price pattern. I will seldom enter on a minor low alone. Awesome pattern. It's a kind of a long forgotten price pattern. And price patterns seem to be one of those types of trading methodologies that sort of was supplanted, sadly, by the more subjective chart pattern. You might say, Rog, what's the difference? It's the difference between seeing a shape that the candles or bar charts are giving you and just looking at open, high, low, close. Open, high, low, close is more objective. We all know what open, high, low, close is. But if I give 100 people the same chart, I'll probably get back 60 different versions of what trend lines are, support, resistance, head and shoulders, and on, right? So there's a lot of subjectivity. Nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot of subjectivity. So I like a price pattern. That price pattern, as awesome as it is, Tech Trader Joe, I learned that one in the late 80s. That was a very cool pattern. I still use it, right? But it won't be the only one that I look at. It won't be the only why. It won't be the only reason. Okay. All right. So next up, let's see here. Bear with me. All right. Pierre asks, Apple is getting ripe. Oh gosh. Apple had a heck of a Q3, did it not? And one of the things we talked a lot about in Top Tier Outlook was tech, specifically XLK and XLC, benefiting from bottom picking season in Q4, right? NASDAQ is still the relative outperformer amongst the 4 indices, and tech is likely going to benefit from that bottom picking in Q4. Q4 psychology is a very different psychology than 1, 2, and 3. And that transition from 3 to 4 is probably one of the most important quarter-to-quarter transitions. And Apple's definitely behaving as we would suspect and talked about in terms of getting above the 200. So now it's back on the north side, the bullish side of the equator. And now I'm going to start looking for those daily price movement range buys. Why do I mean now? Take a look, gang, at our lower row of the colors on this chart. You'll see down there in the corner that it's yellow. That means it's gone from red to neutral. Are there better buys in tech? There very well might be. However, Apple is an important one because high concentration weighting rules the marketplace. And if I take a look at what's going on Apple with that neutral environment, this is going to give me a validity, right? It's okay. The multi-trend says, Rog, if we can get down into the gray area, of the daily price movement range, which is a time and volatility based support and resistance tool. So the gray is the support, the gold is resistance. If we can get down there, frankly, like we did at the very early part of that transition on the 6th, right? Now we can start, for me now, it's a little bit more confirmed, a broken downtrend. We can start buying those gray zones. Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, next up is, let me take a look. Oh, my font is really small inside. Oh, there we go. All right, so we have a long-term put or long-term call. How long to expiration? Paya, when I'm day trading, if I have liquidity, that's the most important thing. Is there sufficient open interest, right? Which is why I don't like meme stocks or thinly traded stocks. I stick with things that are heavily weighted in the sectors that are also heavily weighted in the indices, which means on any given day, I'm really not looking at more than about, by the time we whittle down our list, 4, 5, 6, 7 symbols. And the total pool that I'm looking at is usually less than 20. I'm usually looking at less than 20 symbols. And this includes futures, sectors, and individual stocks. So it's a very small, manageable, effective pool of stocks. So once I go through that process, some stocks I'm going to have to deal with the Friday expiration. Some sectors, Friday expiration. But with the indices, I'll usually have either Friday expiration or I'll have the 0 days to expiration option. Don't pay for a lot of time when you're day trading, because day trading simply means today trading, right? So I'm not going to pay for time, which adds to cost, which adds to risk. I'm not going to pay for time that I don't need. So thank you for the question. All right, next up is, let's see here. The charts are clear. Oh, very cool. Hey there, Nomo FOMO. All right, important question. I'm sorry I missed your question from before. What level of coffee roast do I prefer? FOMO, I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you all a little secret. This is not really coffee. It's espresso. So I've been rocking the espresso. I got this little Breville espresso maker. It foams everything. It's awesome. I've actually been doing a lot of espresso. But espresso and charts doesn't roll off the tongue, does it? Quite like charts and coffee. So usually dark or medium. Now, I know the light roast has more caffeine, but I'll tell you what I've been liking a lot is not an Arabica. I go with the Robusto bean, and that has more coffee, also less sugar, or more caffeine, less sugar. And that's what I've been rocking a lot of. And is it a dark or a medium? I think I've got one of each on those Robusto beans, which I really, really like. So yes, I know, important question. All right. Yes, see you in Orlando. So coming up, I'm going to be in Orlando for the Simpler Trading Summit. I think I have the last session of the day. And so I'll see you all for that. I'm going to do 2 things in that session. We're going to talk about watch list building. But more than that, I think that watch list building is a conversation we can have in about 15 minutes. All right. But then for the whole session, I thought the best thing we could do in Orlando when we're together live at the summit is, hey, Rod, how did you do in October? How does a experienced trader look at the results of a past month and improve for the next month? What can we do to look back on results? What's working now? And then how do we, turn the different dials and levers to make sure that November is going to be an even better month? So we're going to be getting into that. I'm going to share live my trades viz, what trades I've put on. We're going to break it down. I'm not just talking about an account balance. I mean, who cares about that? I'm talking about wins, losses, win rate, risk, etc. I'm going to show you how I break it down. What I do here in this very office over the weekend with a lot of these, and take a look at how the week or how the month transpired, what I need to do better, what worked really, really well, and what I need to never do again. And the only way we can do that is if we break down our trades in software that allows us to do that. Anyways, I've run over. So let's get to it. And as always, gang, I'm super stoked for everyone to, by the way, and I'm trying to remember the roster in Orlando. It's going to be great. I know Trendy John's going to be there. I know John's doing a panel. Sam's going to be there. Oh gosh, I'm totally drawing a blank. Taylor's going to be there. They've got a lot of folks coming up. I think Danielle's going to be there. We have a lot of folks with different expertise. They're going to break down what they do. I think we're going to play some poker together. Some cool stuff. Oh, Chris is going to be there. So yeah, thanks, Bot. Yeah, Taylor, Sam, me, Trendy John, Chris, Danielle, I think is going to be at the Money Show. John's going to host a panel where y'all can pepper us with questions. And so it's going to be a great time. As always, gang, thanks so much for being here. Caffeinate and dominate. Be good to each other. I'll talk with you soon.